Hi there, hi there. Oh, you're flocked upstairs. Everybody's flocked upstairs. So, hello. I'm no startup at all. However, I'm a tech company. I'm a big fat telco here. At least I'm growing fatter each day. And here I'm actually to talk about the feelings of big corporations, because the big corporations have feelings too. And they are quite crucial also for the startups and academia to try to cooperate. You have to understand this big and aggressive and rich beast, which is a corporation, which I represent here. The other part, the resurrection of corporations, is because many members of corporations, which I actually see here too, they feel like dead. Like there are these new, beautiful, young, promising startups talking about blockchains and stuff, and the corporations only talk about strange stuff like seamless convergence and strange mumble like this. And we are very envy. We have some envy feelings, and therefore we are actually here. Many people from corporations are here silently listening to you, looking the way you talk, the way you walk, and trying to mimic you, and no ties and and stuff. And therefore, there is no end for corporations. The corporations are really good at many things, like surviving and being rich. And therefore, there has to be some combination between love and emotions and understanding of emotions and survival of corporate species. Me, myself, I've been on the both parts of this story. I've been in the corporate world, and I've been in the underworld. I've been on my own. I've been heavily in the telco, before in the fixed line operator here in Latvia. I have been my own boss with my own company for many years in between, and now I'm vice president for a mobile operator here in Latvia. And the first emotion I can compare on these two realities is actually fear. The fear, risks. There are many different kind of risks. Of course, when I was on my own for many years, the risks were very simple. There was the risks of starving. Will I actually starve? Will I have money? Will I won't have money? And actually, the other emotion is sometimes loneliness, because there's nobody to talk to. And these are some kind of simple kind of fears. The other kind of fears these days, when I'm a member of the management board, is actually of completely different financial magnitude. Because if something goes wrong or sideways or whatever you call, the magnitude of financial troubles is incomparable to whatever risks I have ever had as a private entrepreneur. So. But the fear is simple. It's a very simple emotion. There are many other emotions, and the deeper is the emotion, the harder it is to talk about it, because in the regions of brain where the emotions are being born, there is no text. There is no text. Therefore, it's so hard to talk about the feelings. So because we don't know them, we feel them. And they drive everything we do. Every mathematical thing we do is driven by emotion, some motivation to solve something. So we invited some artists, in this case, one and only Miss Katina Neiburga, to actually take some pictures of us. How do we look like from the inside? Because the outside picture sometimes is just a little bit too shiny, big and successful and rich. But what's on the inside? And that's an interesting experience I will try to share today with you. Here's the first take. That's going to be quite an ambient experience of how the core of a mobile network look like. Sounds cool. That's fans. That's cool. These are no startups. These guys were cool way before you were born, and they are still cool. They are still cool. They're still cool for the reason they're actually managing the most loaded Nokia network on the planet. There is no other place on this nice Earth where there will be more loaded base stations on average. It's actually here in Latvia. And these guys and the guys before them, they actually maintain the technological tradition for about 100 years. And that's one of the beauties of corporations, that you can maintain some tradition. And the other thing is that they still keep it working. This same network is still between the top 10 by the quality. And as I just spoke, you of course noticed as I got very arrogant, of course. I was starting to, we are this cool and that cool. And therefore, the other emotion, how normally corporations represent themselves, it looks approximately like this. This. We're so cool. We fly. Because, we are cool. And, but the other thing you learn sometimes, not all of the corporations, but some of the corporations learn, is that scared partners or humiliated customers, or the other way around, it's not profitable, at least in the medium term, nor in the long term, because it kills the partnership, it kills the growth, it's not right. So many big corporations in Europe and USA, they haven't learned this lesson, and they act really strangely. For instance, most of you in your home countries, you still pay for the megabytes, which is a really strange thing. Why would you do this? Because there is no cost for the megabyte for the operator, but all the strangeness and financial models and the culture of big companies, they are very totalitarian, and they make strange decisions. And therefore, we were, long before this craziness with startups and innovations, long before that, we were trying to talk with each other and learn and how we could be more viable as a company, how could we be a little bit more useful, and how we could be nice. And it's not so easy because there are rules and processes and things, and it's pretty hard. And yeah, but in general, we learned a few things to do. One thing is to reach out, to talk, be nice, and try things. And this is particularly useful in this new time of trying to become friends with startups and academia and innovators. Why it is so, particularly for us as a mobile operator, because the times are changing, and there are different names for it. Some call it Fourth Industrial Revolution, the others call it 5G networks, the Japanese call it Society 5.0, many names. But all these names relate to one thing, is that we have to cooperate more and use more technology. For us as a mobile company, that means to learn more and actually to make our employees more competent. And it looks like this. Ooh. Building verticals. Well, technically that's a base station. Yeah. So we thought we would reach out and we would tell that we are ready to cooperate. And the first ones to respond, strangely enough, were military, even more corporate than we are. And you don't say no to these guys, because they are very assuring. Well, yet another happy customer. Yeah, so the question was, and it was quite surprisingly not answered very well so far. The question is there an Internet of Battlefield things? And how do you do this? And then you can actually notice that some things they don't show in the Hollywood movies is that military are not advanced. They haven't been iPhoned. They haven't been digitally disrupted too much until now. And they are not really ready. As many other industries have been, the military are not disrupted enough so far. So they are lagging quite behind. And actually, thanks to the cooperation with some of the Latvian universities and some of the Latvian startups, we can start to answer this question more positively. And me, myself, I've enrolled as a National Guard, and I've learned some technological things on the practicalities the hard way. It's normally your enrollment in the military looks like this. It's pretty wet, and it's rather horrible. And you are normally mostly tired. You cannot take your iPhone out really much. Then you march, and then there's a 5G in the back. Well, but really, the thing is that the whole point is that every military person carries a smartphone with him, and all the experience, the actual experience from the actual battlefields these days in the Ukraine and other places actually show that all the actual battlefronts use these smart technologies. So we have to help them out. We have to help them out to actually to catch up, because we know, being here in the Baltics and in the Nordics, we know where the Mordor is. And of course, we feel we are more like people of Gondor here, so we have to really be focused. So, and as you go on, these things start to grow. There are more companies coming in, more startups, more universities, and you actually start to evolve this one vertical. And it started from the smartphones and from the smart technology. It evolves into the drones. It evolves into smart sensing. And artificial intelligence, and finding bad people in the woods. And as you go up in the sky, of course, there are other people coming around. So because if military is not cool enough, so then there are space people. And for instance, we once met one really crazy people from Latvian, so to speak, countryside. And they have a crazy idea that they should, or they would, go 100 kilometers into the space on their own, which seems probably simple to you, but there are not so many countries on the planet that have actually accomplished this task. And I have to be very honest, it seemed more like a PR thing to us before, but as we went on and on, there opened up many interesting technological problems to be solved. Like, is it possible to actually switch the mobile network up into the skies? What would happen if you would point your base stations into the sky? How high can you actually reach? And as we speak, these tests are happening. We are actually trying to build a project that would realize the uplink and downlink and command and control with the rocket from the ground up to the 20 to 30 kilometers in the sky. And they are for real. The guys are for real. It's actually not as easy as it looks, because because space always asks of you very many technical solutions. How do you place all these small things in the rocket? The height, lack of oxygen, high speeds, and the rest. So yeah, space is cool. Space is really cool. It is cool. It is. So the next thing, when you come back from space, the next thing you might think about is, of course, it's not a Tesla. It's actually much better. That's our own driverless car. As you go on, more great startups come over, more crazy people, more crazy academia, and they come to us and they propose to actually set up a test track for driverless cars here back in Riga. Is it actually possible? I don't know. The thing I know is that this idea has gained great traction, and as we speak, there has been a gathering of many partners, like Microsoft, like Nokia, like Ministry of Transportation, like Riga City Council, great startups from Latvia like Pilot, and most importantly, Institute of Electronics and Computer Sciences. We have all gathered up, and I actually believe it will actually happen. We will create a place for automotive startups to come here and to actually test 5G technology, test driverless cars, and more importantly, also connected vehicles as well. So, to wrap it up, the main finding and what we are trying to teach ourselves as a corporation is networking. We have to talk and talk and talk and talk more and not be arrogant, because on the other side of our table is some small company which is not as big as we are, and we have to be really, really careful and, so to speak, tender with them. Therefore, to conclude this main the main emotion we have to translate and actually gather is actually some love. And here, at the end of it, this is my team. This is the team that has been working with all these startups and universities. And we have the upcoming next task. We have devised the idea that we would actually go to the exports and go to other countries and try to actually sell these solutions which we have developed together with our startups and academia. So I believe this is going to be a really, really great fun. You can actually meet them out there behind the stage. All right? So thank you.